Hi guys, sorry I was a little bit delayed today. Uh, Fine. So I'm audible first of all. Yes. Okay. Fine. So today our challenge was we wanted to understand the sizes of Azure. Okay. Whenever you are selecting a VM, uh, how does sizes matter and what are the different things which you need to understand? And we wanted to get started with Azure CLI and Azure PowerShell for doing the stuff in command line. So yes, let us get started then. So okay, all right. Azure VM size. Okay, Azure VM size specifies, okay, CPU. So that is when I say CPU, that is number of virtual CPUs do you have? Okay, it would try to tell you what is the RAM, right? It would try to tell you something called as maximum number of additional disks. So apart from one hard disk, one main hard disk, which will have an operating system, how many additional disks can you basically assign? And then it will try to tell about temporary disk size. Temporary disk size. So what we need to understand is every Azure virtual machine, every Azure virtual machine. Let me use this one. Yeah, this one is better. Okay. Whenever you are specifying every Azure virtual machine, it will try to tell you information about CPU. Okay, that CPU can be number of virtual CPUs which you have. So, right, and then RAM. So, it will try to tell about RAM, right? Not only that, to the virtual machine there will be disks, right? Okay. So even though it sounds like a magnetic disk, it's okay as long as you're understanding them, right? So every virtual machine will have one disk, okay, which is primary. Okay, why it is primary? Because it has operating system. Am I clear on this? So this is OS disk. So every virtual machine will have a OS disk, and then every machine also will have, okay, another disk, right? This disk is considered as a uh, temporary disk. Okay, so temporary disk, I'll use a different color, Benson. Okay, and then it will also tell you how many additional data disks can you have, number of maximum disks, right? Let me use, okay, data disk. Okay, so it can try to tell you the number of data disks it can have, because there can be more than one, because there can be more than one data disk which your virtual machine might support. So what is that the VM size typically speaks about? VM size speaks about, okay, okay, a virtual machine tells about CPU, a virtual machine size tells about RAM, a virtual machine size tells about what is the size of, okay, here number of CPUs. For this I'll be using blue color. It will tell number of CPUs. It will try to tell about RAM size. It will tell about size of temporary disk. Okay. It will try to tell about number of data disks. Data disks are additional disks that are allowed. All right. Okay. Now let me save this. April 20 virtual machines images. 16. Okay. All right. Now review. I'll answer your question. 1 minute. Yes. 16. Right. Now copy. Okay. I don't think it will work that way. So let me go over here. Reveal in File Explorer. Right. So now, okay. Right. So let us just look at this stuff. Okay. Copy this. Go over here and paste this stuff over here. Okay. So you look at every size. Size is trying to tell that, okay, number of virtual CPUs. Okay. Okay. Right. And then RAM. Okay. RAM will basically try to tell what is the size of your RAM. Okay. Number of data disks. This, if you go with this B1S machine, you can have 2 additional data disks. Okay. So that is number of disks allowed. Okay. Max IOPS is the size of the disk. And now if you see this temporary disk, this temporary disk storages, it is trying to tell that you will have size of the temporary disk, which is of 4 GB. Okay. And then it speaks about whether the premium disks are supported or not. Generally, if you look at any virtual machine's name, and if it has a yes at the end, that means premium disk is supported. If you don't see yes, premium disk is not supported. What is a premium disk? Premium disk is a disk with high speed. That's basically what it is. Now you go and save this as ACVM 70. Look at the relation. So am I clear on this now? Every VM tries to tell this size. Yeah, premium is obviously SSD, all right, because that is the fastest disk that is available at this moment, right? Yeah. Right now it is SSD. Microsoft is doing some innovation. We might hear a lot from them, but right now there is what do you call it? It is basically SSD. Is there any limit of for data disks? You mean limit in the terms of number? Yes. Size? Yeah. Depending on every virtual machine, there is obviously a maximum size of a disk which you can allocate depending on what is the plan which you take. Okay. So there is a limit, but that limit is too much huge, right? So it doesn't matter. Yeah. Am I clear on this now? So whenever we are selecting a VM size in Azure, okay, I'm logging into Azure. So I'll go to virtual machines. I think I should have 3 virtual machines now. Yeah, right. So if you see this virtual machine, right, I select any of the virtual machine, right? My virtual machine will have a option called as size. And this size will basically tell me what is the current size. If you see, it is trying to tell that it is the current size is B1S, but it also allows me to resize. Okay. So can I resize my Azure VM? So when you resize your Azure VM, what you can change? You can change number of CPUs, you can change RAM, you can change maximum number of additional disks, and you can change temporary disk size. But understand one thing, the moment you change your virtual machine, your temporary, whatever data that is in temporary disk will be lost. Rest of the things are retained, but whatever the data that is present in temporary disk will be lost. Can I resize the Azure VM? The answer to that is yes. Okay. So how do you resize them? Okay. Okay. So in your virtual machine, there is an option called as size. In that, select select any size over here. Okay, select any one of these things. Okay, and then you click on resize. Okay, but there are certain things which you need to understand what will happen when we restart, when we resize. But resize will deallocate the VM and allocate with a new configuration. So there will be a downtime. Am I clear on this? So whenever I'm speaking about VM sizes, can I resize my VM? Absolutely, you can resize your VM. So when you resize your VM, can it happen without a downtime? No, that is not the case. So because Azure Virtual Machine, okay, whenever you resize, will restart. Will restart. I think I'm clear with my statement. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right. So whenever you want to change, resize the VM, okay, this option is also called as vertical scaling. This option is also called as vertical scaling. Okay, right. So basically, we have to speak about horizontal scaling, which is the most widely used scenario. Okay, we will go there. But first, what we need to understand is if someone asks that is it possible for the virtual machines to be resized? The answer to that question is yes, absolutely. You can resize. You can resize. Okay. And now I have to speak about one series. Okay. I have to speak about one series, which is B series, because they are different. Rest of the series are all fine. Okay. But we have something called as B series burstable virtual machines. But before I go there, let me look at questions if I have any. How we will find the max size limit for a specified VM? What do you mean by max size limit? Okay, you have a whole list that is defined by Amazon, that is defined by Microsoft Azure, right? So go through that. Go through that. So for every family which you have selected, there is a maximum size which is proposed by Amazon or sorry, Microsoft. And in that, try to see what is the stuff which you want it to be, right? So for that, you have to go through the list. Do we need to stop the machine first? You need not stop the machine first. You can, if you say resize, it will be stopped. Okay. What is a temporary storage? See, right. So in Azure, whenever we create a virtual machine will be allocated, sorry, virtual machine will be created on some rack on a physical server. Okay. I'm quite sure that you know this. Okay. Right. So on this, a virtual machine is created. Okay. So, but virtual machine is created from here. Okay. But generally what happens is your hard disk won't come from that same machine. Your hard disk always come from a different rack. Okay. So consider this as your disk. So your hard disk generally come from a different machine. Okay, so this, let me make it this, and this, let me call it as a disk. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, now why clouds go for this option? Because whenever hard disk comes from a different machine, even if this machine is dead, we still have hard disk, so your data is backed up. Okay, but temporary disk, okay, temporary disk comes from the same physical server. Temp disk comes from the same physical server. So due to that, what happens? Since it comes from the same physical server, whenever you deallocate the VM, this disk also will be deallocated. But the other disks, let it be OS disk or a data disk, will not be deallocated. Okay. Am I clear on this, Vijay Bhaskar now? And Lokesh, I think I have answered your question. This is what happens internally. Yes. Then we will lose the temporary storage. The reason that it is called as temporary is due to this. Okay. So public IP address is going to change. Okay. By default, yes, but you can prevent that from happening. Shouldn't power of the VM, shouldn't it power of the VM? Yes, it will power of the VM. Yes, yes. Good man. So, right. Let me go with this burstable series. Okay. Because I want to speak about it. They are asking about this burstable in certification exams, but yeah, we generally don't use burstable for production kind machines, but dev instances we use it a lot. Let me go over here. Okay, all right. So I want you to go through all the other series also, but this is different. This series is slightly different. Okay, so generally what this series tries to tell is, and let us assume that you have purchased a car. All these days you were driving a car and you were driving it in traffic. Okay, so your car can go to a max speed of 200 kilometers, but basically what was happening is, because of your city's traffic, okay, you could have never basically gone to that max potential. So what is that, you, when you go to the highway again where the road is absolutely free, so can you go beyond your CPU usage, or can you go beyond your speed? That is not possible, right? So because your car will have a maximum speed, your car will definitely have a maximum speed. Okay, so burstable series means basically what it does is, whenever you are under using your CPU or under using your machine, okay, it will add credits to you. It will add credits to you. Okay, so based, then now what happens is, those credits will be accumulated, and whenever you are in need, okay, each credit can take your system's performance beyond what it normally can, beyond what it normally can. Okay, for that period of time, for that period of time. Okay, so I'm trying to tell this again. Okay, this is basically, this concept is present in AWS also. In AWS we call that series as T series. In Azure we call it as B series, burstable series. So basically what happens in here is, okay, so every series, okay, let me try to show you this. Every series will have baseline performance. It is trying to tell that this B1S you should be using at least 10%. But let us assume that you are not even using 10%. You are not using 10%. Then what happens is, you get credits. You get credits. So how many credits you get for every 1 hour? If you are using B1S, 6. Okay. So similarly, for depending on your machine's type, you get credits. Okay. So now, if you basically see the base performance of this machine is 5%. Okay. Now what happens is, if you are not using your machine, you get credits that are accumulated. You get credits that are accumulated. Okay. And now what these credits can basically do is, whenever you are in need, it can increase your CPU's usage to more than what it normally can. What it normally can. Okay. So it can take your what is the maximum CPU performance that you get. So in the case of B1S, you get 100%. But if you take B2S, okay, so let us assume that in B2S you have to use your machine for 40% CPU. Okay, every hour you can use at an average of 40% CPU. Now let us assume for 10 or for 3 hours you have not used 40%. Your machine was used at 9% only. So for every hour you get 24 credits. Now 24 credits for 3 hours. If you basically do 72. So for the 72 minutes, you have a chance of your machine basically doing double than what it is designed for. So it will behave as if it doesn't have 2 virtual CPUs, but it has 4 virtual CPUs. That's basically this concept of burstable is, right? That is what is basically being spoken over here, right? And this burstable concept is there for disks as well as CPU, right? Okay. So burstable is, whenever you are not under using your CPU, you get credits, and each credit is equivalent to 1 second. Okay, each credit is equivalent to 1 second. So for those many seconds, what you can do, your system can do beyond what it is designed for. So for example, here if you take an example of standard B2S, your system can go at a maximum CPU performance of 100. But when you accumulate this burstable performance, for this burstable duration, your system can go at 200%. Okay. Similarly, when for the people who are giving certifications, please go through every series. Okay. Someone had asked me what is a maximum number, right? So are you saying for every series there is a maximum number? For every series there is a maximum number, right? I'm not going through this because I expect you guys to do it, and there is we are not by hearting those numbers. So there is no point in basically going through every series and trying to find out what is the max and all of that stuff. Especially for the people who are going for certification exams, you need to have a little bit of knowledge on what are these series, right? But on a general note, you will be using compute optimized and storage optimized a lot. Okay, if your architecture has a cache server, yeah, memory optimized also. But GPU and high performance compute in normal cases, we might not use it. Yeah. So this is basically what it is. Right. Now, okay, I just give a link to this. Okay, Azure CLI and Azure PowerShell. Okay, so let me put it in this way: Azure CLI and Azure PowerShell. Okay, right. Or let me put it in this way. Today, let us try CLI. Okay, right. So actually, you can install the CLI anywhere. But today we are not going to do any installation. Okay, we are going to use this CLI because we have to understand how the CLI looks like. Okay, so Azure CLI is a command line way of operating Azure. Okay, Horizontal scaling. Vertical scaling was you changing the CPU and RAM. Horizontal scaling means you adding one more machine. Rather than having one server for doing the job, you are having two. You are increasing number of servers, not changing the hardware. That is horizontal scaling. Okay, fine. So shall we proceed with Azure CLI? Or if you have any doubts, I think I can give a pause. Yeah, good. Right. So I'll go with Azure CLI. Azure CLI is a command line way of operating Azure. Okay. Azure CLI had a first version which was based out of Node.js. Okay. Now Azure CLI has stopped supporting first version and they created a Azure CLI version 2, which is developed in Python. That CLI is developed in Python. You need to know Python to work on that CLI. Okay. Azure CLI 2S, very simple to understand and work. Right? Azure CLI is very simple to understand and work. Okay. So now for working on Azure CLI, there is a syntax, right? Every command line will have a syntax. Azure CLI will have interesting syntax. Okay. So that syntax is every Azure CLI starts with AZ. Every Azure CLI starts with AZ. Then it might have service, right? It might have, okay, subservice if required, okay, and then it will have action, and then it takes parameters. Okay. So whenever I put anything in square bracket, try to understand that they are optional. Okay. So commands are very simple. So AZ service, right? You might have sub services. This list might go on and on because you might have list of sub services. You can have action and then you will have parameters, right? And generally in parameters there are some mandatory parameters and there are some optional parameters. Am I clear on this? Now let me write some examples. Some examples are AZ group list. So if you see, we have AZ and then we have services group. This group stands for resource group. Action is list. Okay, right. And now there is no need for you to remember all of this. I'm just writing so that you can relate with what it is present. AZ group create hyphen name test hyphen location central US. Is it looking okay or is it looking difficult? Guys, I need your feedback. Okay. All right. So Similarly, if I want to delete something, you might have something called as AZ group delete hyphen name test. Okay. So AZ service, it might have sub services, and then it will have action. Action will be very simple. Action will be something like general actions are, okay. General actions will be create, delete, okay, list, show, etc. Service list. Services are, okay, group, VM, SQL. You can go on and on. Okay. And easiest place to find it out is Azure CLI documentation. Refer here. So I'm not asking you to install. So if it is install, I would have gone over here. And in this, are you seeing reference? Okay. So, okay. Hmm. I want everyone in the room. Okay. I'm just pinging out this link to all of you. Please open this link. Okay. On your browser and open that reference section. And open that reference section. Okay. Navigate to reference. And scroll till you find the service you are looking out for. Okay. Right. Now let us assume that, okay, I want to create, I want to basically look out for a Azure CLI command to create a resource group. Now scroll down. So are you seeing resource group section? Okay. Let's try to find out a CLI section for resource groups, because in Azure, before we do anything, we have to create a resource group. So what is it I have gone? First, I have gone into the CLI documentation. I have scrolled down, okay, till I find a section called as resource groups, and then I have opened this section. Okay. And now I have a section called as resource groups. Okay, I think I'll do one thing. And in this, I click on create. Now let me put it in this way. I'm sorry, but but this is not as difficult as what it looks like. For other clouds, it is not this simple. So if you see, I'm looking out for resource groups, and here he gives you a command saying that the command is az group create. Okay, and in this az group create, this is the whole syntax. Okay, so now let me go to MS Paint. I need to do something over here. Okay, whatever is in square brackets, anything which is in square brackets, okay, is optional or conditionally optional. Okay, and then you have examples. Okay, I think, all right. Okay, and then you have examples, and for every documentation you will have parameters documentation over here. So you will have what are required parameters. If you scroll down, it is trying to tell that the required parameters are this and optional parameters are this, right? So let me first save this. Okay, scroll the page down, and if you scroll the page down, you will be seeing the whole parameters and their descriptions So to find out parameter descriptions. Okay, now this is the last thing which we'll do. Let's navigate to Azure portal. If you go to the Azure portal, okay, and let me close everything, whatever I'm not using at this moment. Right. Okay, good. So on this Azure portal page, are you seeing this? Okay. So that is basically called as, okay, okay, Cloud Shell. Okay. Ideally, we should be installing it. For today, let us not install this. For today, let us not install this. Okay. All right. I think I can save it from here. Yeah. ACVM 22.png. Yeah. And launch. cloud shell. So all of you, okay, what I want you to do is in your Azure portal, just click on this cloud shell. Then it will ask you a UI which looks something like this. Okay, I'm giving you screenshots. If you're unable to do it now, you can do it at a later point of time, right? So then you please click on this create storage. This is not, they will not be charged, right? This will be a very low cost affair, not a very high cost affair, right? So oh, 23. Okay, this is 23 and this is 22, and follow the steps as shown below. Okay, now when you click on create storage, it will take some time. Okay, let it do its job. It is creating a PowerShell, but actually we don't want a PowerShell, right? We want a bash. We want a shell, Azure CLI. Okay, but let it do its stuff. Right. Okay. So if you want to use Azure from PowerShell, you can do this. Or if you want to use it from Bash to have a Linux or Mac kind of environment, you can select this. The choice is yours. Okay. Now, okay. Okay. So select Bash from the option. Okay, I'm asking you to create a bash. The reason for that is whenever we work on Azure PowerShell, let us use a PowerShell. And whenever you are working on Azure CLI, let us use a bash option so that we are used to both of them. Okay. So I'll go over here and let me save that as 25. Oh, I think 24 I have saved it already. Okay, fine. 24. So let me select it as bash. Then you will get something like this. Click on confirm. You will be switched to a bash shell. Right? Now execute a CLI command to return all the resource groups. All the resource groups. So what was the CLI command which I have asked for? To return all the resource groups. So what will you do? You will go to resource groups and then you have actions like create, delete, exist, export, and there is something called as list. Now for this, yeah, what I'll try to do is I'll try to tell that, okay, an option to select all the resource groups is list. And for that the command is az group list. So save this as 25. and now I'll basically try to say AZ group list command over here. Whatever command which I found there, I have basically entered that. We got some result. That's okay. So whatever results which we got, we are getting some results, right? So this is okay, right? 26, right? Am I clear on this? So we have not done much. We have just set up the basic environment, and then we know where to find out the commands from. So to find the commands from, I have basically given you a link. First, navigate to this place, right? First, go to this web page, and from there you go to the reference, right? Because in this reference, you will have a reference command line for all the Azure services. And right now we have not created anything about virtual machine. We are interested in resource group itself. We have found out that there is something called as a resource group, and in that there were some actions. We have clicked on them to see how they work. Am I clear on this? I think this is easier, and I want all of you to do at least what I have done in the class today. Okay, and actually we'll not have a class tomorrow. On Monday when we start, our whole idea is to create a virtual machine. We will list down the steps of creating a virtual machine, and then we will do all of them one by one to create a virtual machine from Azure CLI and then from Azure PowerShell. Okay, once we have finished that, then we will go to our horizontal scaling. Okay, so this is how we will be moving towards in Azure. Okay, right. Shouldn't the power of the VM write while okay, oh okay, I think okay. So these are the two options, bash and PowerShell. See, bash and PowerShell, two options are bash is PowerShell is in that Cloud Shell. You can use either a PowerShell terminal or you can use a bash terminal. Okay, so I have just said that we'll be using a bash terminal. You can use PowerShell and execute the same command also. AZ group list will work in PowerShell also, right? So, but generally, I wanted you to use a bash option. That's it. There is no other reason for that. Yeah. Okay. Ideally, you will not be executing from there. Ideally, you should be installing those CLIs in your laptop. We will start from there in our next class, and then we will try to run the show from our laptops, not really from Cloud Shell, but Cloud Shell also can be used. That's the reason why I basically helped you out there. Will commands work faster from bash or PowerShell? It doesn't matter. They are the same. It depends. There is no speed difference there. Okay, right. Okay, man. So I think tomorrow we'll not have a class. We'll have our next class on Monday. And I would recommend everyone please follow whatever we have done. And if there is still someone who had not created an Azure account, I would recommend that from the next class, if you don't have an Azure account, you will be really in trouble. Yeah. What are those two institute mobile numbers that are working? If yes, one picks, at least if they call back, it should make sense. Okay, are the two institute numbers working? I think they should be working, Praneeth. I'll do one thing. You stay on the line. I'll get someone to type the numbers of the institute which whom you can contact. Okay, I'll tell someone to type it over here. Okay, so you stay back on the call. Rest of you can basically drop, and I will basically ask the person to type a couple of mobile numbers. Right? Yeah. Okay. Right, man. Thanks. That's what I did for the day. రా గమనురా. ఇక్కడ ఎవరు ఫోన్ నంబర్లు అయితే ఫోన్ చేయాలో